And now our mind, body, spirit segment. We are super excited to have this wonderful lady here in studio with us, Katie Kyleen, who is a spiritual psychologist. You have a lot of titles.
I do.
But I felt like that was maybe the best one to land on. And we're going to talk to you about the untapped power of the heart. Thank you for being here.
It's wonderful to be with you guys.
What does that mean when you talk about the untapped power of the heart? What do you mean when you say that?
You know, most people don't even know what the heart is, guys. You know, the heart isn't just an organ that's beating, and it's not just a chakra. It's actually a center, a governing center within inside of our energy field that is equivalent to our body, that's equivalent to our mind, that's equivalent to our soul. And when we're in the heart, we actually completely step out of fear into love. So it's impossible to be in the heart and to be fearful that day. And so the heart is the place we go to when we step out of duality, you know, and come back into peace again.
I'm wondering, and I feel Brandon, he's thinking. He's like, I could see that we're processing what you're saying because it's so interesting. How does one figure out how to move? Because a lot of times we need to move maybe from our mind to our heart. How do we figure out how to do that?
Absolutely. And actually, this is the pandemic that we're really going through right now is people have disconnected from their hearts and they're just working with their mental energy right now. They're just working with their mind. The heart has this amazing ability to encompass your mind completely in its being. It's actually an encompasser. And so one amazing thing to do every day in the morning is always begin with the heart, is to sit center in the heart and allow for the heart to actually hold your entire mind in its safety. Because when it does that, you literally cannot have a negative thought anymore. It brings your dial back to love again every time.
That's so fascinating. Now you do like services. I don't even know if that's the right word to use, but I'll use the word services for this point in time. But you actually gather groups of people weekly, correct? Every Sunday?
Yeah, we have classes and workshops
But you do large groups. Talk to me about what you do in those sessions. I'll call it a session. What do you do in those sessions collectively as a group?
So whether it's a group or whether it's one-on-one, we're really bringing people back to their truest state of being, which starts by entering into the heart. So if we're in a group meditation together, we're drawing everybody's energy back to where it should be positioned in the first place, because the heart is where our purpose is. The heart is where our truth is. It's our inner GPS system. And it's the one that says, do I go with this tax accountant or do I go with this tax accountant? The heart will give you the answer. Or do I date this person or do I date this person? The heart will give you that answer. But the problem is, guys, is we're so disconnected from the heart that we just go through these situations without listening to its voice anymore. And then we get hurt. And then we say, why, universe, why?
How do you, when you're talking to folks at your healing sessions, do you talk to them about dealing with trauma and past pains, but doing it in a heart-centric way? And if so, what do you tell them to do?
Totally, because we know trauma has become such a big word, right? This past 5 years now, all you hear is the word trauma. Trauma's always been around. You know, we used to just call it a painful blocks or patterns. Now we just have a new word for it, right? And trauma, there are a few ways of dealing with it. A lot of modalities and therapies right now have you focus on releasing it, clearing it, looking at it, going back into the past, into those times that were extremely painful or horrific, and reprocess it, exactly. But that's actually a really hard way of doing it, because when we do it that way, we have to go through the suffering of it again. Some people even have you bring it back up into your body and literally shake it out of you, right? And when we do it through the heart, it is so gentle and graceful, where we can go through the healing, but we can go through it without the suffering anymore, because the heart has this amazing way of entering into the mind, taking all of that trauma, bringing it back into center, where it unifies it back to the truth again, without having to go through the vomiting and the crying and the this and the that. Not that any of those things are wrong. Not at all. All those therapies are breathtaking and they have a place. I'm just saying there is an easier way that people have forgotten about. And that's why we're calling it the untapped power of the heart. People have forgotten that the heart can actually do that for you.
What do you want to leave the audience with? A bit of inspiration. If someone's listening, watching you and thinking, oh, God, I love what she's saying. What do I do? How do I try to tap into this?
Yes, what I would leave the audience with is, if you have to have any sort of practice, even if it's just half an hour in the day, let it be centering yourself back into the heart, more than doing any other work, because then your entire day, every single action can come from such a truthful, authentic place, instead of from a fearful place.
I love it. Katie, thank you so much. And where can people find out more about your work? You travel all over. You're based in Arizona, but where can people find you?
www.arizonaspiritualevents.com.